I still remember the way she looked at me that night, as if I were a disappointment she'd just unwrapped. "You're sweet, Ryan," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "But let's be honest, you'll never give me the life I deserve." That was the last thing Natalie said before she walked out of my apartment and out of my life. We'd been dating for nearly 2 years. Through college, part-time jobs, internships. She was with me when I was sleeping on an air mattress, building my web dev skills between classes and late shifts. I wasn't flashy. I didn't have rich parents or weekend getaways to Aspen like her friend group, but I was consistent. I showed up. I listened. I supported her. Still, when she got that job at the boutique PR firm, things changed. Suddenly, everything was about status. Who was going where? Who drove what? Who was on track? And I wasn't. I'll admit it. Her words cut deep. I wasn't. Angry. Not then. I just felt small. Insufficient. She wasn't wrong, exactly. I was broke. Still renting a room in a house with 3 other guys, driving a 12-year-old Corolla, and eating frozen pizza 4 nights a week. But I was also building something. I'd started freelancing, small websites, SEO audits, app UI fixes, and I was slowly getting a reputation. I was obsessed with clean code, beautiful interfaces, and treating even tiny clients like they mattered. It wasn't flashy, but it was real, and I never stopped. 3 years later, I co-founded LoopShift, a product design consultancy that specialized in building intuitive digital tools for health startups and nonprofits. It was small at first, just me and another guy, Dylan, working out of a co-working space and taking any client we could land, but it grew. We got lucky with one health tech startup that took off, and they credited our design as a big part of their usability edge. Suddenly we were in demand. We hired. We got an office. We signed contracts I couldn't even dream of back in college. And then came the gala. It was our biggest networking event yet. High-profile guests, potential investors, city officials. Dylan and I rented tuxes. I had a nervous energy I hadn't felt since college finals. And that's when I saw her, Natalie, carrying a tray of hors d'oeuvres. Natalie didn't see me at first. She was balancing a silver tray like she'd done it 1,000 times. Hair in a neat bun, black slacks, white collared shirt, the same uniform the rest of the catering staff wore. I stood there, frozen. For a second, I wondered if I should just turn around, pretend I hadn't seen her, not out of spite, but because I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. But then she saw me. Her eyes widened. She blinked like she couldn't quite place me. Then her expression shifted. Not to embarrassment, but recognition. "Ryan?" she said, half a whisper. I smiled politely. "Hey, Natalie." She looked at the name badge clipped to my blazer. Ryan Keller, co-founder, LoopShift, and then back at me. "Wait, this is your company?" I nodded. "One of them." "Yeah." There was this pause. Not awkward, just real. She set the tray down on a nearby table and stepped away from the crowd. "I didn't think you'd remember me," she said quietly. That caught me off guard. "Of course I remember you," I said. "You were my world for 2 years." She looked down, fidgeting with her fingers. "I was a different person then." We talked for a few minutes off to the side of the ballroom. She told me she'd left the PR firm a year after I saw her last. It wasn't the dream job she thought it would be. Stressful hours, toxic bosses, no growth. She bounced around a few freelance gigs, eventually ended up working events to pay the bills. "It's not permanent," she said. "Just while I figure things out." I nodded. I wasn't judging. Truthfully, I admired that she was hustling, even if life didn't turn out the way she expected. "You look good," she added. "Different. Confident." "You too," I replied. And I meant it. There was an odd moment where we both smiled, not in a romantic way, but like two people who'd aged a lot in a short amount of time. And then, as she picked the tray back up, she said, "I'm glad you proved me wrong," and walked away. I stood there watching her disappear into the crowd of suits and lights and music. She didn't ask for anything, no apology, no second chance, just Acknowledgement. And weirdly, that felt better than revenge ever could. But the night wasn't over, because someone important saw that exchange and came up to me with a very unexpected proposal. As I turned back toward the ballroom's main floor, a voice stopped me mid-step. "Ryan, you know that young woman?" I looked over. It was Eleanor Pierce, one of our most promising investor leads. Early 50s, sharp suit, sharper instincts. She ran a venture firm that backed startups focused on social impact, the kind of firm we were hoping to partner with. I nodded. "We used to date. College years." She arched a brow. "Interesting." I couldn't quite tell if it was judgment or curiosity, but she kept going. She was incredibly graceful with that. Trey knew where to stand, who to approach, didn't hover, didn't interrupt. She took a sip of her wine, still watching Natalie blend into the crowd. "That's rare. Most catering staff either fade into the wall or try too hard." I laughed, softly. "Yeah, she always had a sense of presence." Eleanor tilted her head toward me. "We're helping one of our portfolio nonprofits with outreach, organizing local events, donor dinners, PR strategy. I've been looking for someone who understands pressure but doesn't crack under it. Someone who knows how to read a room." She looked at me directly. "Would she take a job if it came from me?" I blinked. "You want to hire her?" "If she's half as sharp as you seem to think, yes. People underestimate women in those black and white uniforms. But I've made an entire career betting on the ones everyone else overlooks." I caught Natalie during a break behind the catering curtain near the service hallway. "Hey," I said, "that woman who just spoke to me, she runs a multi-million-dollar VC firm." Natalie looked confused. "Okay?" "She wants to interview you. For an actual position." Her mouth parted slightly. "Me? Why?" "Because she saw what I already knew. That you don't fall apart under pressure. That you know how to carry yourself." There was a beat of silence. Then she said, barely audible, "I don't think I deserve that." I shook my head gently. "You might not think so, but someone else does." We exchanged numbers. That night, while the gala carried on with music and speeches and business cards, I left early. Not because I had to, but because for the first time in a long time I felt like I'd closed a chapter. Not with bitterness, with peace. 2 months after the gala, I got a handwritten thank you card in the mail. Not a text, not an email, a physical card. It was from Natalie. Inside, in her neat cursive, it read, "Ryan, I don't know what you said to Eleanor, but she offered me a position that changed everything. I'm doing project coordination now. It's challenging, it's intense, and I love it. Thank you for seeing something in me when I didn't. I hope one day I get to do the same for someone else. You gave me more than I ever deserved." Sat with that for a while, not because I needed the recognition, but because something hit me in that moment. Sometimes closure doesn't come with a dramatic confrontation or a mic drop. Sometimes it comes quietly, in the form of mutual respect. A few weeks later, Eleanor and I signed a 6-month contract to co-develop a digital dashboard for one of her nonprofits. At the kickoff meeting, Natalie was there, confident, sharp, prepared. She presented some of the event insights she'd gathered from the nonprofit's last quarter and proposed 3 concrete solutions. She didn't stumble. She didn't defer. She owned the room. And as I sat there across the table watching her speak, not as an ex, but as a peer, I felt something I didn't expect. Pride. Not because she needed saving, but because she found her way in her own time with her own hands. After the meeting, she caught me outside the building. "Hey," she said, pulling her blazer tight. "You ever think we were just in each other's lives at the wrong time?" I thought about it, then smiled. "No. I think we were in each other's lives at exactly the right time. We just didn't know what it was for yet." She laughed softly, then nodded. "Take care of yourself, Ryan." "You too, Natalie." That was the last time we spoke in person, but I still have the card. And every time I see someone trying to prove themselves, someone overlooked, underestimated, I remember her. Because sometimes the best kind of success story is the one where no one ends up the villain, just people growing up.